favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item number 3, approve the claims. We just have a page and a third of claims. We'll just review them in their entirety. Any questions about the claims?
Yeah, I had a couple quick ones. Dan, I saw a couple door repairs on there, one that J.J. Lee did, and then one that Zeibel did. Those must be two different doors, right?
Same door. It's a north overhead door at the Smith Center. And that was still original from when the building was built. The same operator, opener, closer, that had started to fail. And then up on top, what we had discovered was the original builder never tied any of the block in, so it started pulling the block. So Zeibel wouldn't fix the door unless we got either fix the block, or what we ended up doing was having J&J Lee come in and put an actual header in there, a wooden header, so that they could tie that into that. That's how it should have been done in the first place.
Okay, and again, being new to the committee, is there a capital dollar amount on repairs? What is the limit then that it then needs to be capitalized versus just expensed for the month? Is there a dollar amount?
No, we don't have like a magic limit. Something like that is a necessary fix. If we can afford to do it, we'll do it. So there'll be something that we'll have to do a little bit less of to make sure that we can balance things out. If it would have been a repair that was, 10, 15, 20,000, that's something that is above and beyond what we can afford to do, and that would be where we would bring it back to you, or I'd have to have that discussion with our finance director, city administrator, depending on the level of emergency that there was to it.
Okay. Yeah, I certainly understand that regarding, an approval. But I guess the accounting side, I see this all gets dumped in just an expense GL. Whereas, if, for example, this kind of goes together, one had to be fixed than the other. And in those cases, again, government accounting may be a little bit different, but in the private business, you would capitalize that. You'd put them together so that you can amortize that, so it's not affecting you on a month-to-month basis. So I'm really asking, I'm not trying to change it, I'm just trying to understand how government accounting works.
Yeah, public finance is quite a bit different than
so
private.
It doesn't hurt the Park and Rec's monthly, achieving its budget. When some of these things...
Yep. So we're calendar year, we're year end, so as long as, like I said, if we spend $2,000 that we hadn't accounted for or did not want to spend, we're zero based. So at the end of the year, we tear everything out, and we have our audits and other things. But from our standpoint, after 20 some years, we just try to make sure that if we had an unexpected expense like that we try and peel back some other things that we were going to do, or other things, so that we can get as close to zero balance when we're done.
Okay, yeah. I'm just, for example, if this was $50,000 instead of $5,000, you would want to capitalize it so therefore it gets amortized over a capital period like 7 years. So then you don't necessarily have to cut expenses to make the end of the year, and/or it would free up dollars to potentially make additional improvements. So just a different perspective there. And I'm not saying this is at that threshold. You're probably only looking at $3,000 or $4,000, but just, I guess, the concept. Just wanted to bring that forth.
Yep. Thank you.
Are there any other questions about the claims? Then I would entertain a motion to approve the claims as submitted.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims as submitted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims as submitted. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Claims are approved. And maybe in a timely manner, we'll move into our next agenda item. Discuss and potentially approve 2025 capital requests.
Okay, that is a good segue to Eric's point. Our capital stuff here. So every year we begin this process, typically July or August, but our city administrator had asked us to start this a little bit earlier this year so that we can get some, we have a new finance director, and to try and get some of our budgetary processes rolling a little bit earlier. So our capital requests that we're looking for this year are, at least right now, this is what we have come up with for our projects. And for capital, to Eric's point too, and it was a good point, when we do have projects that are at or beyond, I guess we use 25-ish thousand for pre-planned projects like this. We bring them forth, and then usually here at Park and Rec Commission we have the discussion and go forward with recommendations. We try to put priority order to them, and then move those forward to Committee of the Whole, Personnel, Finance, City Council, depending on which way they want to do it. It's been done a number of different times depending on city councils or the mayors that are responsible for the process moving forward. As you can see on here, we have some of the items are repeats. Some have, I put some notes underneath there for you. We've got a few things that some years do and other years don't rise to the top depending on what kind of equipment that we have or project or facility falls into the repair or disrepair or becomes that nagging piece of equipment that we have to start sticking money into, and then we have to have that discussion that says, do we want to continue to spend a couple $1,000s a year fixing this thing to keep it running, or is it time to sell it, trade it, and get something that has a warranty so we don't have to worry about it for a number of years? And the same goes for other physical type things with signs, building type things that we need to look at, whether it's reached its end of life or repair, disrepair. So I'll go through these. If you have questions, let me know. At the end of the day, whatever we do, and if you want to look at these, we can go July too if we want, but I know Rod was looking to see if we could at least tentatively have something put up and teed up by July. But when it leaves here, this doesn't necessarily mean that they're approved. The ultimate approval is up to the city council. So every year we send whatever our wish lists are, and then the ultimate, again, the final decision rests at the city council. So the first one, remove, repave Streeter Square basketball court. That is repeat request. That one is, I think last year when we did our park field trip, the asphalt that's there isn't even asphalt anymore. It's basically the pebbles that were left in the 50-year-old asphalt that was originally poured. Similar to Stang Park, it gets used more than people think, and it's one of those things that I think if we would repave it, the hoops there are still good, but we would have a lot more people that use it. There's a lot of people that would like to use it, but you can hardly dribble a basketball on it anymore just because it's mostly rock. Second one, replace smaller activity feature pumps at the Bierman Family Aquatic Center. This is now, in talking with the guy at Badger Pool, these are our little 10 and 15 horse pumps that activate the play feature and the little slide. Every year they seize up. We go in there and we turn them over. Almost every pool has this, and I've talked to the manufacturer. We talked to Badger Pool about this. Badger's talking to the manufacturer. Other pool operators are having these similar issues, but there's only so many times that we can do this, and we even break them down. We put a nut on the other side so that we can try and turn it from 2 different directions, at least once a week, twice a week. Even in the wintertime, we stop down there, turn them over, and no matter what happens, there just isn't a good solution for that. So it's now 3 years in a row that we've had to take either 1 or 2 down to Linder and Wausau to have them redone, and that's $1,000 to $2,000 every time that you have to do this. Brand new pumps are in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. If you get brand new pumps, it would be our hope that we would have a better life. Again, these are now at the 9-year mark for us too. One of the things that we are contemplating, 2 things, and we're waiting for the answer to this, but is if we remove them and put them in our park shop somewhere where it's warm, is that going to help? And just continue the same process and turn them over, and or if we seafoam them or almost winterize them like you would do a boat engine, is that something that would help? So we're waiting on the manufacturer to see. They won't warranty it if you do that, I know that, but somewhere there has to be a solution to this issue, and there's a lot of other, like I said, pool operators that are attempting to solve this same issue. Badger said Middleton, I think it was, somewhere closer to where they are, they just finished a brand new pool, and they got theirs out of the wrapper, installed them, and their pumps were seized already, brand new. So but long story short, after you continue to work on them, at some point, we have some other issues that are starting to show as well. So that was the second priority. The third, replace all park entrance signs. Those we talked about last year, and I showed you some, and with the pictures, and we looked at a few. They are worn out. They are in bad shape. They look bad, and they do not put a good window dressing on what our parks are all about. So if we would do something like this, I think we would probably simplify and go through probably Premier out there. That would go with some powder-coated steel signposts with their aluminum signs or something like that would last. These lasted. I helped put them in when I did my internship in the late 90s, so they made it quite a long time. But these other ones, I think, would be even more maintenance-free as well. Next would be finish concrete around park shelters. This one we didn't get a chance to finish it a couple of years ago. Part of that is at our park shelters we have one thing that we probably should have done in the past is to over pour our concrete so that we don't always have that drip line that we put gravel or granite into. All of that stuff washes up onto the shelter floor itself. It's dirty, it's messy. People trip on it. People kick it around, try to throw it through our windows. And this way we would just work with the street department and their concrete guys, their concrete truck, just frame it out and put a 4-foot buffer, 3-foot buffer all the way around the shelters that remain. Riverside, Otts, Normal, and Stang, and that way we just have approach that would be grass shelter without having any of that stuff. Next one, replace rental skates at the Smith Center. This is something that I was hoping to hold off for a few years. Our rental skates get used quite a bit, and we have a lot of them that are still original from when I started in 2003. They are falling apart, and like I said, we haven't had the budget to replace all of them. These are things that pay for themselves in about a year or two. By the time we're all said and done, we make good money off of our rental skates, but just one time, there's a lot that are right on the cusp of shouldn't even be used anyway, but we would throw them out and replace those with new skates that would hopefully last another 20 plus years. So next one, key fobs installed at the Smith Center. Between us, hockey, figure skaters, rentals, other things like that. I think this would save us money. This would save us on security issues purposes. This is something that I've been wanting to bring up for quite a while, but similar to City Hall, if you have a key fob, I know all the schools and school districts do it. If somebody has it and doesn't return it, or if somebody loses something, we can give access to who we want when we want them to have it, or we can turn off access to whoever instead of copying keys, giving keys, putting keys in for this, for that. I think it's just a more efficient way to do it. I had Permar come out and give us a quote, and I didn't realize it was going to be that much, but that's what it is. Similarly related is the next one, keypad locks on park shelters. This one, I'm hoping that we can, whether it's this year, next year, or in the near future, come up with a less antiquated way to do our park shelter reservations. We have a ton of park shelter reservations, and we're very glad that we do. We have nice shelters and people use them a lot. But the way that we do it is we've taken that leap to the 21st century with online reservations, and people get all of their stuff emailed right to them, and then they have to come out by us, pick up a key that we've got several copies of, and then they take that key to their shelter and they use it, and then they have to bring it back to us, then we do the deposit. If we could do keypad locks on there, then we could send them a message or generate one through our online thing that says, Eric, your reservation for Agra Pavilion on Friday, just a reminder, here it is, your keypad combination is 1435. And Kyle, you have it on Saturday, yours is 2611. That way it saves us on the me getting a phone call on Saturday morning from the party that's going there, even though we told them and they know it and it's right on their thing. Somebody's setting up, they have all their stuff set up for Sundays, but I have it for Saturday, or I forgot to pick up my key, or I lost my key. Just a simple, more efficient way to do things. And then last, refurbished decking and rails on Prairie Trails pedestrian bridge, repeat request from last year. Again, that bridge is from '04. It was treated lumber, but again, with all the elements that materials in northern Wisconsin are exposed to, there comes a time where even those and their galvanized screws start to let loose, and we have just wear and tear. So at some point, that one's going to, I did put that last, at least from us, but at some point that's going to have some TLC to it as well. So, and then on the notes underneath, you can see there was a few other things that I was hoping, and we have our 03 UTV that, knock on wood, is still running. We've had a few things with it here and there, but at some point that's going to have to jump back onto the list. Streeter Playground, there's a few playgrounds that are now at that 25 to 30 year age range where we're starting to see even some of the powder coated things and elements wearing out, and decking and other things. So just something to be aware of, that there's always things that need to be replaced when we have parks and equipment and amenities. So any questions or comments, concerns? Ultimately, it's just our responsibility to bring ideas to you that come from me and talking with the guys that work on things and stuff all the time too. This was what we had. If there's anything that you want to, by all means, you can scratch any of them, reorganize them. It's ultimately your decision.
And one thing, Dan, just for a background for a couple of our newer members, there is a list that we go through as a commission. Was it in January or February? We looked at it a couple times, like it was at a 5-year plan.
Yep.
Which really anything after the first 2 years is just a guess. I mean, but not all set in stone. So there is sort of a hopefully as much of a plan for stuff like capital as you can get. But then, like Dan said, stuff like the pumps, invariably stuff comes up that even what was top of the list last year might get moved down a little bit. and then not everything gets approved, so then stuff carries over. And certainly, like Dan said, a lot of it is from Dan and employees, but then there are some citizens or sometimes commission members have brought up ideas, well, what about this too? So just to be aware of the process. For those of us who have been on the commission, this list isn't brand new. It's just a little bit modified or moved around a bit.
So that's where I would find the master list, I guess, if you call it, from the 5-year plan?
Yep, and I can
That's-
email that to you. We just, every year as Dan had said, we tinker with it. It used to be, for a while, we did 10-year plans, and then I think the 10-year plans, when it got to, like more so from a city council standpoint, I think it not overwhelming isn't the right word, but I think a lot of times you would find people that start to drift off towards 2028, 29, 30, and it was difficult to kind of focus on the near term things. So there was always, on one of our 10-year ones, we had just like the curling thing or something like that, $2 million, and people couldn't get that out of their mind. It's just something that we've heard here at commission, and I've heard via whether email or conversations with people, and you put it on there, and it would throw everybody off. So since then, more of a city decision was just to try and trim it down into a 5-year plan that was something that is easier to focus on, because I guess 5 years isn't that far down the line, but it's still far enough to where if we can try and forecast some things for that time, 10 years is difficult. When you get beyond that 5-year plan, it's a dream list at that point, or a forecast, like a 2-month forecast if you look at the weather.
Dan, so I know at the last Riverbend Trail meeting, we talked about the Nicholas Bridge. So is the Nicholas Bridge then repair, replacement in a different city budget, or is it still on the master list, and at this point the Prairie Trails is a higher priority?
Nope, that was approved for this year, so the Nicholas
Okay.
Bridge is getting done this summer. So that was through the process, the exact same process we did last year. Nicholas Bridge was on that.
Do we know when this summer? Or is it dependent on weather, like we talked about at different times?
It's dependent on weather, it's dependent on our staffing and Ellenbecker construction. So hopefully, if I were to, I don't like throwing dates out there. If I would say early August, because obviously they're going like crazy. We have to find a time window where they're going to be in between things, and where we can, because we're going to remove the decking and then, or the 5-quarter deck boards, and then we are going to put the plywood on. But we have to have a time where they can tell us most likely about here, so start doing it, because as soon as we tear it off, then it's closed down.
So are we who fixes the deck boards? I think there are a couple deck boards that are in pretty sketchy shape currently.
There are.
Maybe dangerous.
Oh, it's been a battle forever, and I've been
Yeah.
at it when, like, I've gone down the trail in the morning and the deck boards are fine. I'll go down in the evening and 2 of them have popped up. I
Yeah,
mean,
there's a
doesn't it
couple
go that
right
way?
now.
That like they can fix them and come back 2 or 3 days later, and there'll be 2 or 3 different boards.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
It's like whack-a-mole.
it is. Yeah, your dad sent me a couple of pictures again the other day too. Yeah, we fix a few, and there's more.
Yeah.
It's this way with concrete. Hopefully, that's the solution.
Okay.
Just a few thoughts, I guess. For those smaller activity pumps, could we experiment with the seafoam treatment this winter with the old ones, so it wouldn't void the warranty of the new ones, to see if that would even work? Or
I hope we can. So we don't have warranty anymore. The one thing that we're waiting on is like more of the technical spec end of things from Badger Pool,
yeah,
because we also don't want to put seafoam in there and then the whole thing corrodes, or
Right.
it's 2 different kinds of metal, which is weird. inside those pumps, and part of that is the reason why when you get oxidation in there where it'll lock itself up.
Yeah.
So we're waiting on some technical expertise from Badger to see if they even think that that's a good idea. But
Okay.
yeah,
And what's a typical warranty on those pumps that you're seeing?
3.
Wow. That's not much at all. So the replacement ones, though, we would hope to get
3.
either better recommendation and or some referrals and references if we're going to go through and replace them all, that we're going to have better results.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a referral is a referral is a, you know, it's all about performance too. So, and there's places that don't have any issues.
Yeah.
Any of it have to do anything with chemicals, chemical balance? Because if the water's too hard, your chemicals are going to eat away at your pumps. You run into it with my own home pool.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're not doing it correctly, but
Yeah, we daily test for hardness and all of that stuff. So, yeah, no, that, yeah.
Yeah, I know. If you've heard of Stay Right, or are these Stay Right pumps out of Waukesha? Because they're kind of one of the premier, and obviously they're in upper Midwest,
They are.
et cetera. So they're in
Yeah.
the mix?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just thought maybe experimenting with the old ones would be a good idea.
Yeah, no, and if that is the case, we will do that for sure, and we'll see if these get funded too. But if they
Yeah.
do get funded, we'll keep those other ones and you know, make sure that we have use them as spares too.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. I guess another thing for the rental skates, would like Ice Reflections and the youth hockey be interested in helping purchase those potentially, or sharing the cost? Because
Probably not.
Okay.
They all have, all of their participants have skates,
right.
but if we would, they probably would, but then we would have to split the revenue
Okay. Yeah. Fair point.
on that. They do ask us once in a while if they can borrow them, or they've actually even in the past asked if they could use them to rent out, but we haven't done that just because they're ours.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about splitting the
Yep.
revenue then.
Yeah, if we charge $3, then we get $1.
Yeah.
They get $1. The other one.
All the skates need replacement, or just some of them? Because could we do it like maybe in phases, possibly?
Can do anything. Yeah, all of them, not all of them, but by the time we get all done with it, we probably need 60, 70 pair for sure. 70 for sure.
So is that like the 10,000 that you were thinking for just the ones that need it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then could we, if it did get approved, could we like increase the rental maybe by $1 to, you know, is that an idea that maybe we could think about to try to get back a little bit of it?
Yep. And I think we upped our admission and our rental last year. But yeah, we absolutely
I mean,
can.
I don't know what the rates are at other facilities or, you know, anything like that. but-
Yeah, we're about market rate, for pretty similar to what other places charge, but we can certainly add $1 onto it. Nice, brand new, nicer than the ones that we've had.
Yeah, because I would pay $1 more to get something brand new
Mhm.
to use.
Yeah.
Maybe the same thing with the park shelters, maybe we could increase it by $5 or something if we did go the route of the keypads. I don't know, that's just an idea.
Mhm.
I guess related to the keypad, how would that work exactly? Or like, who would be resetting the code each time? Or I guess I'm not familiar with how that would work.
So we'd have to look at, and I kind of started looking at this. There's a couple of different kinds you can get. We would probably have like our park checkers.
Yeah.
There's some that you can just tear it out, you know, or clear it in the morning when they come through, and then you just, you know, there's just another code that you put in that overrides that. So
Right.
as long as they know, it's an extra step for them, but a lot of times it's just the clear button that gets rid of the memory from the previous one, and then you enter the new one in and then store it.
Okay.
So-
So it'd just be one of the guys going down and doing it. Okay.
Yep.
A lot of them are phone apps now.
There
That's
are
what I
phone,
was-
yeah, then we'd
yeah.
have to look at the cellular end of things too but yes, that's another one that we did look at too. There are phone, and they can just go right up to it. Or you
Yeah.
log their phone in.
And whoever's setting the codes, and distributing them, of course, can do the same.
Yep.
Did you guys discuss at the city level what your projected tax levy will be for that you're shooting for this year?
That has, not with me, I haven't heard any goals or objectives yet.
And the only reason I bring that up is just from past experience, when we send a list this big to city council, what usually happens is we have about 4 more meetings afterwards. Is there any way we could cut this down by half and send them a smaller revision of it?
I mean,
and Speed up the process?
half are from last year already, so.
Yeah. Hey, absolutely, no, that's why, like I said, I bring them to you guys and what,
It's just my thoughts
yep,
from-
if you guys want to pick one out of here, pick one or all of them. That is completely up to the commission.
Well, for example, this totals 210. Is that typical for Park and Rec?
Less than last year.
Yeah, pretty close. We've a lot of it depends on what kind of item. There's been years where we've asked for more than 8 items that were, some of them were a little bit smaller though too. I mean, these are all, we don't have any large ticket items in here, anything in the 100, 200,000 range. We've had years where we've been in the $400,000 or $500,000 range for what we ask for.
So what were we approved for last year? To Steve's point?
I thought it was more than this, if I remember
It was
correctly.
probably, yeah, but it was probably a little bit less than this. Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah,
the-
I guess the key is because you have to add up
It would
every
be nice.
department, and then you're rolling up.
Historically, we have wanted.
Requested
I don't know,
some sort of,
20 years more on and off. It'd be really nice if we could, I think councils change. It's the thing, we have kind of asked for some guidance, like a dollar amount, how to do it. We try to prioritize. Some years we get less than half of the numbers we request. We've never gotten firm guidance, like a dollar amount would be good or a range. I don't know.
Yep.
And I think we've not real recently, but requested it a couple of times through the proper channels and have never gotten good direction.
yeah, Dan, I think your idea of a range is good, so that, to me, it would create integrity
Yeah.
for this commission. Say, okay, let's have some sort of scope here. So it's not just a wish list. We're trying to do a very good, as best job we can. Give us a range, and no, just because you give us a high range, no, we're not just going to go up to it just because you gave us a range, so to speak.
Correct.
What's hard with that is other departments start taking Dan's funding for a bridge, and that's what happens every city council. And so you get to that budget, and let's say, boy, I like all these things on the list, but budget comes around and the park department, or not park department, street works needs a new bulldozer. All of a sudden, well, this list throw out the window and we only can pick 2 because there's not enough money left. And that's what happens, and I think that's why you can't give a range.
Yeah, and though I like to use skates because it's sort of simple. I was talking about, because in your notes, the skates, it's a pretty quick payback, but we don't have a parks account that the skate rentals go into. It'd be great if we did in 5 or 10 years that here's our skate fund. So it's nothing at all like personal finance. It's this weird thing that goes back, correct, Dan, into the general fund. The
Yep.
revenue you get from skate rental goes into the general fund.
It's offsetting revenue, yep.
What do you
And-
usually get from the skate
and
rental?
Every year we probably get, it's thousands of dollars. We probably $6-8 grand a year.
Wow.
Sure. It can't, and it depends on how our open skates go, how many people. It's up and down because it's never a static number. We know that on a Friday or a Saturday night, it's not guaranteed that we have 200 people out there, but there are times where we have 150 to 200 people out there, and there's times where 50 of them rent skates. There's other times where we have 100 or more that want to rent skates, and we're out. We don't have enough. there's school groups that come in and rent the ice from us during the week, during the day when they want to do it. So, yeah, I mean, there are years where we're beyond $5,000 in.
So even though it goes in the general fund, when we do the actual project request, because there's a separate form and that has to go make its way through Common Council, we can show that. Even though it goes in the general fund, we can do the ROI and we could show the payback.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
I guess I just feel like we should keep this whole list potentially, because majority of them are maintenance items. The only two that aren't are the keyless entry. And so if we're going to cut anything, I would cut those two because they're the only non-maintenance things. Yeah, it's just, I guess I feel like, yeah, the can gets kicked down the road quite a bit, and the costs add up every year after that. Prices just keep going up and up, so should do the maintenance now rather than later.
Yeah. No.
Well, and frankly, we had a mower, didn't we? A big field mower.
That was on
approved.
the list too.
Did one get approved in the last 5 years?
The only one was probably 5 or 6 years ago was the replacement of that batwing mower that we
And
pulled
that was
behind.
how much? That one item was, it was I don't remember, but it was,
20, what was that, 25, 28, something like that? Because it's a standalone implement. It has to be pulled by the tractor.
Right.
The Jacobson, the large field, that orange big mower that we have, that now you're talking 100.
and that is on our list somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so right there, that'd be $100,000. And the one we have eventually, they're not gonna be able to keep piecing it back together.
Them guys love that one, but yeah, we've had a few
Yeah.
things here and there, and but that's still good. But yeah, if that decides to go, that's a replacement for that's 100 plus immediately.
So when did the city administrator ask for this? Was there a hard?
By July, but so we can put this, whatever you guys decide to do, we can put that forward.
What I'm wondering, I'm kind of looking around the room too, we will meet the first week of July or not?
Probably
we
not.
could.
That's the 4th.
We usually haven't.
That is the
Usually
4th.
haven't, okay.
Yeah. But we can go mid-July if we want to. I mean, if we want to.
Well,
I think
would
that's-
people like some time to think? Like a month to think, and we would,
I guess when is the
I mean,
council meeting?
we could approve this now, or there's a lot of really good questions, and some newer members would maybe get a little bit of time, and Dan could get you our 5-year list that we'd approved in 2023. You could review it too. Would that be helpful maybe? And we would have a short meeting in early July, maybe specifically about to get this done and anything else that would come up.
Yeah.
Does that seem like a reasonable thing to do?
Well, if the city administrator asked for a draft, right?
Yeah, we can. This could be draft. However, this is what
And make
these are
sure
items
we-
we're considering.
And make sure we qualify that
Yeah.
this is not ready and we need to do additional work, at least we would be providing what he asked for
Yep. No,
versus waiting until July.
It's a good idea.
I got a question about the signs. Did the city not have a budget when they did their rebranding? Should their park signs fall under their rebranding?
Can I come to the microphone and talk on that a little bit?
We can probably hear you. You can talk, you can come to the microphone or you can talk from there. Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Of course you would. Yes, thank you for being aware of that.
Kind of have to be. My job.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nathan Meyer, District Alderman for 3. I'm on the Marketing Communications Committee. When we did the rebranding a few years ago, I was not on that committee. However, that funding comes from our franchise fees that we get from Spectrum through all that marketing stuff, which also pays for the media productions program and so much, yada, yada, yada. It pays for a lot of other things as well. the amount of money to rebrand every single thing when we do that logo and stuff is astronomical. It has to come in phases. That's kind of the thought of the marketing at this point in time. Someone tried to push through a few years ago, and the bill was, it was pretty big, if I remember correctly.
A couple
but-
$100,000.
Yeah, a couple $100,000. So, I mean, I think just in general, we should be looking at it in phases.
Okay, then
But-
my question is, why should that come out of the commission and Park and Rec Commission? If we're doing a rebranding, shouldn't that come out of the city?
I can't say I disagree with that, but at the same time, the franchise fees are so minimal, and it has to pay for media productions. That's the big ticket item, because if media productions fails at all and falls, then we lose all that franchise fee money completely. And that's a good $100,000 a year.
And
So-
from my standpoint, I was looking at it not so much as the rebranding, but just replacing them with, and whatever we put on them is what it is. But like the Riverside one 2-3 weeks ago fell off. So we put plywood backer on it and refastened it, just because it won't stay on anymore. We have a few more that are getting fairly close to just falling off too. So if they want to give us money to rebrand it, we can call it whatever we want. But at some point,
Well, I know, Dick, I mean, I get where you're coming from. I
Yep.
just thought, when you talked about signs in Maryland,
yep.
we changed from, we're no longer City of Parks, we're the M. I just thought, when you rebrand something, you go out and rebrand it to get it out there, and that's why.
Yeah, I think the original council that put out the rebranding, I think, Steve, you might have been on that council, or no, you were gone by that time, or, but it was kind of, I think the general consensus thought was, we're going to do this, but we're going to do it in phases, and eventually this rebranding will be completely done across the entire city. I think everyone kind of understood at that point in time that it wasn't going to happen overnight, obviously. That would have cost the city way too much money, and the taxpayers way too much money as well, so.
So that makes a lot of sense. So is there a prioritized list? Because I've seen that happen, and then first 2 years go by and you don't do any of it,
There's,
and now it's just like maintenance, it piles up.
right now, the marketing, there's not a true list at marketing on what signs or anything needs to get replaced. I think right now we're trying to do the street banners, and those have kind of trickled in, from my knowledge. But I can't say for certain that we have an actual list of, okay, which priority of things need to change right now. So it's something for the marketing team to look at, but I can't always guarantee too that would.
Well, that would help us, all of us.
It would help everyone, correct? But
The only reason I asked, I hate to put 35,000 on our thing, but in
no,
a month it could be on their thing, on their budget, or.
you're right. No,
That's why I'm asking.
No, and I don't disagree. That's why I wanted to stand up and have this conversation and say, hey, here's kind of the things we're also juggling with too. Is there's a lot of other numbers that we have to deal with as well, and our budget isn't huge either. So because we don't dip into any of the tax levy at all. So.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
Then maybe I'm hearing, Dan, if everyone's agreeable to it, you can give this as a tentative list, or put this forward.
Yeah, draft. I think
As
that is a good
tentative
idea.
list, and then potentially we'll meet in July and briefly.
Yep. Yeah, because
do that second
I
week.
think, at least coming from the city administrator standpoint, like I said, they're just looking to start gathering information earlier so that there's a better ballpark
Was it
figure.
September in past years? Was it September that we?
Yeah, last year I think we jumped in August a little bit just to kind of
Okay.
try and prepare ourselves a little bit more, and we had some other new ones on at that time as well. But this time I think they want it even earlier so they can start building towards the budget process. So
And you can do you want to email everyone? Why don't you, if it's
Yeah.
all right? Email
Yep.
the entire commission the 5-year, or most recent 5-year list. And anything else anyone would like to add to that?
I guess I wanted to just I guess, we had that, what did we decide on the Wisconsin River Parkway?
Yep.
On the west side? Would we be getting a sign for that potentially? Okay.
Yep.
All right. If we're good with that then, if everyone's satisfied, we'll move on to the next item on our general agenda. Continue discussion on the Wall of Hope citizen request. So Dan, if you would be willing to give just a brief background to bring everyone up to speed, and then move into the drawings we have here and discussion you must have had in the last month. Again.
Okay. This was turn of the year. It was January, I believe, or even December, January, somewhere in there. I was approached by a citizen who wanted to put up a monument of some sort. The initial request was more so in memory of the unfortunate incident where the two teenagers lost their lives in the spring of, that had been 23, right? Not this past spring, but the spring before. And they wanted to do something at or near the Agra Pavilion, a memory wall, hope wall of hope type of a thing. So I had talked with her, met with her, and then we had this discussion here to start. So part of that discussion that we had, I think that was one of the ones that we had to go downstairs for, was I think, at least from a departmental standpoint, we had a few concerns in the fact that if we go specific to somebody or an event, it opens us up to having to do monuments, memorials, or other things. We do memorials pretty well, which is a testament to Riverbend Trail, the amount of benches and other things that were contributed to that, our park benches, trees, other things. We do those things well, but for a large monument like this, part of that discussion was felt that it was too specific for us to say no to anything else moving forward. If somebody wanted a 7-foot by 5-foot high concrete monument in Stang Park the next week to honor something or somebody, then, well, you said yes to that. So long story short, what part of the discussion that we had at commission was to kind of try and back up, and instead of having the 10-foot view, see if we can get this to the 10,000-foot view and say, this is a wall of hope. It's, in honor of any of those who suffer or mental illness, whatever the case may be. It's just a wall of hope. Find a location where the Agra Pavilion area, I know that it's a very popular place and people want to put everything there, but there's so many things that are currently there that I think that we are past the point of it being too much. So I met with her after that and went to a couple of different parks, and one of the spots that she liked was at Kitchenette Park, between the river and the playground, kind of set back in there. And I had asked her several times for some plans, and she finally sent some to me that I passed along to you guys. So she's looking at on the second page, I don't know how it is in here, but 7 feet wide, 7 feet tall, 2 to 3 feet deep, and then she would put it on just a concrete footing type space that is kind of intended to be visually appealing, something that just, I guess, if it brings people a good feeling, just a place to hang out at. If there's a little ledge or something on it and they want to put a memory or a keepsake on it, they can do that. But it's just kind of meant to be an all-purpose wall of hope type of a thing. She would raise the funds for it, have somebody build it, construct it. Being that it's all concrete stone, it would be something that is maintenance-free for us, and we would not take care of it necessarily. Keyword.
So if there's vandalization to it, you're not gonna fix it?
We discussed that last time.
Right.
I know. Well, that would be something that we would have to we would have to, you can't sign an agreement because we can't hold her to it. Once it gets built, it's in a park and it's park property as well. But that was part of her passion for this is taking care of it and making sure that that there is upkeep. So those are the difficult guarantees to make on both ends.
Is there one of the designs that you think would be less likely to get vandalized? It, like fixing it if it does, or something that'd be
If it's
hard to break?
absolutely, if it would be something, so on the picture where they had like the spirals, the colored one that looks like a screenshot from her phone. If we were to go with cobble or river rock and put that on there, in an outdoor public setting, it's cool, it'd look really neat. But those things, if you smack one with a hammer and it falls off, and another one, or even just one, if one falls off, there are interesting individuals out there that will see that and consider it a challenge to knock another one off or another one. But if you go with like stamped concrete, that's just one solid piece, that would be what I'd do. And then put a good concrete sealant and another coat and another coat and another coat on it. That's what I would do. Because
Would you be the one putting the sealant on every?
No.
No. Okay.
I would ask that they do that.
As far as the location, a thought just occurred to me. I really didn't know anything about this. Now I'm kind of getting it. One possible location, I guess, that came to mind is where the current mural is on the Crossroads Bank wall, which is right there where the girls went down. And when Mark Selger agreed to that, he's like, yeah, you want to start with that one mural? And people want to, some groups want to add more. I mean, artists, not graffiti artists. But the idea there, and that was just volunteer, and Ace donated the paint, and some local artists did it. Then that way it would be flat. You can seal it. You can, coat over it, and it's right where the very area is that those girls went down. So that's just an idea, and I'd like to see more of those murals there. They're not obnoxious. You only see them when you're on the trail, or if you're in that back parking lot, and that maybe be kind of the idea.
Yeah. So in the couple of times that I met with her, we spent a few hours going through a number of locations, and she was pretty particular in, we went to even over by the Nicholas Bridge area, just to the east side of that. That was kind of one of the areas that I liked, and she did not. Ultimately, it's up to the commission, but I guess I get to be the one that does the tightrope walking with what they're feeling, what they have in their mind versus what.
Sure, she may never have thought of it. It's worth just
and we walked
at least
that
saying here's
stretch.
some other ideas other people have. Do any of them strike you? If not,
Yep.
How close is she looking to be to the pavilion? Because there's like the bridge and all that space under there too.
Yeah, so the only other issue though is once we get straight down on either side of the bridge, that is all DOT property. They own underneath, and then when we get from there to the west is WPS, and we cannot. They won't let us. They won't let us even put signs in the ground in their property.
What if spray paint gets on something that's concrete? I mean, because that happened there, so it's not a far cry to say that it would probably happen to this. How do you get it off? Because you can't just repaint whatever she's thinking, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, there's a few products that you can put on there that it takes a little bit, but you got to really scrub to get it off.
And that's something that they would be maybe willing to do too, or?
I hope so.
Yeah, I know that you don't want.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
One thing you gotta remember, since it's done, it's our property.
I think it's a great idea. I mean,
That's-
like Eric's idea.
At the end, we're Dan's crew's gonna be in charge of it, basically.
Yeah.
Whether they say they're gonna take care of it for 10 years, they could just say after the first year, we're done with it.
And in all honesty, the other thing that it is well within your purview here to say no. I'm not advocating for that, but we don't have to do this either.
I think it's a great idea. I just think we need to be more careful in general about donations and the cost. 10 years down the road, what is this gonna cost us, and if we can afford it, and I think it's a great idea, though.
Yeah, we had that when we had the initial discussion, we did talk about that, and because she had a pretty specific
Yeah.
list of I would like to do this here, like this, for this, and there are other places. There are other places in the city, in any city, that are probably much more adept or fitting for memorial type things like this. Cemetery or the surrounding area would be one.
I had a question, Dan, there had been some issues with vandalism at some of the playgrounds, especially I'm thinking at Normal Park there, the adaptive playground, and I think there's some security cameras were installed there now. Knock on wood, since those went in, has that vandalism there decreased, or
It has.
And I don't know, like, these locations, is it, you say, you're going to have to fundraise for a security camera that's mounted nearby. Well, just because that location, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad location, but it'd be pretty easy to go in there at night and do whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah, we do have cams now at Kitchenette Park, for those of you that are watching and thinking about vandalizing. Don't.
But do they show that area? Do they cover?
It gets the area, but it not that great, but it would get just about anybody
People
trying to go
going.
back there. So, but yeah, again, it's not meant to stress anybody out. This isn't, but
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Those are just concerns I had.
yeah, they're good ones too.
What, did she have plans for having some words on there, or in memory of specific? I mean,
No,
just Wall of Hope
I think just as you see it on her drawing, I don't think that maybe Wall of Hope, but
Yeah.
I know that at least when I had talked to her and when we had talked at one of the meetings too, we had talked about trying to make sure that it was generic, so
Yeah.
that it was something that is just for hope or whatever you want, and for people to interpret it however they want. But again, the reason being is if we have the such and such memorial thing, it will be a day later somebody's going to say, I want to do that. I want to do one at Kitchen, or another one at Kitchen. I want to do one at Riverside. I want to do one here. I want to do one there.
Right.
So
I just, like, if there, I don't know that anybody who would approach it necessarily, depending on, I can't quite see what it would look like in the end.
yeah.
What they would, what is this here for? Or what is this
Yeah, and it would
present
probably
for? But
serve her best to do like a little plaque or something that would either get mounted by it or
General,
on it.
yeah.
That would just say this wall is intended to be interpreted however you wish. If it brings a smile to your face today, good deal. If it helps you remember somebody, fantastic. Enjoy this park, enjoy this setting. I'm just
Yeah.
making it up.
She not want to come in and talk to us?
I've invited her.
I mean, that's my thing. If she wants to do, she should really probably come in here and represent herself.
I agree.
And
Pretty unintimidating group.
Yeah, we're to have funners right here.
Because, just that question right there could have been answered.
Yes.
Well, and that was
Yeah.
a question I had too, because I think I think we all are pretty agreeable. It's not going to be like this last screenshot here, or something really, it looks super cool, but you just can't put that in a public location. So is it, Could it be like like you said, stamped concrete, or almost like a memorial stone you might see at a cemetery that's marble with etching in it? Is that acceptable? Something that could stand up to the weather and long term? Or is it more the vision and the specifics is very specific, I want this? Because if the answer is I want this, I think the answer from the commission is probably we can't do that.
Yeah.
We understand what you want, but we just can't responsibly have you raise money and put that in a park, and it might just end there.
Yep.
But if there's some willingness to think about something else, maybe, but we still have a lot of questions.
So
We
would
want
you,
answer. Does that seem like where we're at, I think? And I think you're right, without having someone here to ask those questions too, in a non-intimidating way, but we just want to do this, we're going to do it, make sure we understand what you would want, but also to make it clear to you what we think we can responsibly put in a park.
For me, I hate to say no to something like
Me
that, because we just got that about the Nicholas Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that was donated that's gonna has cost city a lot of money to
They're
maintain it.
it's very generous.
But I mean, I'm just
Yeah, I agree
saying,
with
you know, I hate to say it, I look at softball, how much money, baseball, how much money have we donated? Yeah, it still costs the city money even after we do some stuff for them to upkeep it. But I hate to say no, but we also come here and say, okay, this is what we want.
Yep.
I think if she wants something, I think we need her to come.
great point. No, and are you guys okay with, I'll talk to her and say, hey, you know, at maybe August or something like that, so we can focus on whatever, but at the August meeting, it's this date. The commission has plenty of questions, and they aren't comfortable approving anything until and unless you can speak on its behalf.
I'd like to see a finished product of the plaque too, because I'm not voting upon something without knowing what's exactly gonna be on there.
Yep. Okay.
Put anything on there. and
Yeah, I'm not
that-
fine
that
with
would-
names or
that would good.
anything, yeah.
Okay.
Did you ask, I don't remember which locations we kind of discussed. Was Cenotaph Park included in the proposed ideas for her?
Yes.
Okay. Because that already has the war memorial there, so I feel like that would be a more appropriate location than Kitchenette maybe, but
Agreed.
I'm okay
And-
with Kitchenette either way, but.
Yep. Well, and that's something at that time too, if the commission's more comfortable with it going there.
We can make that decision, yeah.
Yep. Because ultimately it's your guys' call.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 3, things to be excited about. Dan, I assume you have some excitement you'd like to share with us.
I'm excited about everything.
Well, what related to Park and Recreation?
Yeah.
Share us what you're excited about.
Programs about to get underway, some that did get underway. We were supposed to start with T-ball, but we've had rain each of the last couple of mornings, but good numbers for that. So it's always exciting to see the little kids getting ready for stuff and, you know, out of school all wound tight, showing up somewhere with a fresh brand new bat bag and new cleats, new glove, other things. Excited for warmer weather, maybe, if we can actually get it and keep it. Excited for seasonal employees. We are not quite to full capacity yet, but we have one more to go, at least on our buildings and grounds portion, and so we can get caught up on our grass for sure, and trimming and things like that are out of hand just about everywhere, including my house, and I'm sure a few houses of those that are here right now. Projects, it's always exciting to get after some of our projects, the trail stuff, the new connector trail, Nicholas Bridge, docks, boat landings, Normal Park, other things like that. Events that are coming up, June Dairy Breakfast, Gazebo Nights, City Band Concerts, baseball and softball tournaments. I had the baseball one this last weekend and the softball one coming up in July. Soccer season, summer ice, all of those fun things that we have going on, and excited about pickleball courts being resurfaced again and fixed. So now I can maybe stop at the grocery store without getting swung at or something like that. So yes, it's a great time of year. It's always crazy for us just and we get used to it, but kind of it is exciting when things get this crazy, because it's kind of fun to see everybody flying this way and that way and getting this ready, getting that ready. Anytime we have a little ripple, it kind of throws everybody off a little bit, but we're lucky that we have good people and to help get things ready and keep things going, and good citizens that are excited about partaking and participating in all of our things. So, all
right. Well, thank you, Dan. That does sound exciting.
it is.
And that transitions nicely into agenda item number 5, our monthly reports. So thank you again, as always, Dan, for your very well-written and very informative monthly report. Are there any items you'd like to summarize briefly?
I have one that I have to briefly fill you in on. I'm just going to jump right into this one. We have a leak at the pool. Not sure exactly if it's that area that heaved. I mentioned that in there. It's coming from the drain tile that's closest to the mark, so I have my fingers crossed, because I know that that area does, especially our splash out areas where we do have the pool splash out goes into drain tile. That comes on that east side. The other stuff goes to the west. So we were down in the manhole sump this morning, and water utility was there with us, and there was water coming more so from that one on the west side. And we tested it, and it was positive for chlorine, which is not good. So I did talk with Rod a couple, 3, 4, 5 times a day and inform the mayor about it. If it is that heaved area, I'm really hoping that it is. That is not that difficult. We have to cut the plaster out and fix that buckle, the area that buckled, and then we would have to probably close down for a little bit of time, but that is probably best case scenario. If it's not, then we'll have some decisions to make if we have to close down for a little bit extra time and draw the pool down. So what we're going to do, for your information, tonight is I'm going to go back when we're done here, and we're going to let everybody finish swimming and then close it down, turn off our pumps and our makeup water, and let it coast and see where it settles. And again, fingers crossed, if it makes it recedes just past where that heaved up buckled area is and stops, then we are in good shape. If it keeps going, then we will have to, I guess, formulate another game plan. I mean, we're not the only ones. Again, this is the pool theme, but Weston had this last year and 3 years ago. We had everything fixed. I don't know. I think it's too coincidental for it to not be that. But last year, after we fixed everything, that thing, we didn't have to touch it for the rest of the summer. We lost virtually no water besides what was splashed out on swimsuits and this stuff. And then comes that area that buckled up this spring, and now we're leaking, and it's not just a small one. It's leaking a fair amount. So let it go down and see what happens. If we can fix that, great. If not, then we have to make a different decision. We can't afford to continue to go through chemicals every time we are leaking several thousand gallons a day. That's new water that's introduced, that has to be heated, that has to be treated. It keeps chewing through all of our stuff. It makes our pool unreliable. It becomes cost prohibitive. So it's something that we have to get on right away. So we'll continue to work with city engineer and / city administrator. We did have a conversation this afternoon, one of our guys, myself, and their lead guy from Badger Pool, on a couple of different scenarios. He suggested doing this to see where it recedes to, and water utility's been a good help with some of their equipment. And if we need to get back down and sound it like we did last year, we can always do that as well. For us, it's tricky because we have had so much rain lately too. The drain tiles are going to naturally, we look in there weekly, even when it's dry, just to take a look at the guts of the pool. But it's difficult because we've been getting so much rain and so much heavy rain that runs our ground is saturated. Tomorrow morning, then when we get in, we'll look to see where the levels are at, and then we'll also play with a few things tomorrow too, where we'll try to isolate a few valves and turn a few things on, see if we can put some check marks on and or off a few things. It's more difficult than it's more difficult with the pool, a pool that's built like that, these large municipal outdoor pools. I wish it was as simple as, pop the hood on your car and look at it. This is either belt is good, belt is bad. Pulley is, pulley isn't. This is blown, this isn't. It's miles of pipes, miles of valves, other things that we have in place. So I wish I could tell you something different, but either.
How does this compare to the last, water-wise?
Fairly similar. Yep. But if it is that heaved up area, it could be that, because it's trying to, even though it's up near the zero depth area, it just keeps losing that when it gets up there because the pool's still trying to fill itself. I really, really, really hope that it's that. That place keeps me up at night.
Sure does.
Does. So I will keep everybody informed. I'll send out email or something tomorrow if we know something. But our plea right now is to get, and I know they're really busy this time of year, but we did beg them to send a couple of techs up and some stuff, even if we have to, if we get to that construction seam or something let loose, there's underwater weld. If we got to send a guy underneath there and do some things, we'll do it. But I'll let everybody know when I know something.
Okay, well, thank you for that news, Dan, and keep us posted as you have more to share with that. Any other questions for Dan on his report? Okay. Date and time for the next meeting. What is the Wednesday? Well, are we going to bump into any other meetings if we go to the second Wednesday in July?
I think that'd be the
Or
10th.
Not to my knowledge, no, normally second week is only.
And what is that date, the Wednesday after?
It'd be the 10th, July 10. So we can either do the 10th or, I mean, at that point, we can, whatever works best for anybody, if we want to do the 17th or
10 works.
10.
Yeah,
I'm seeing
that's
that.
fine.
Okay, we'll go Wednesday, July 10th, 4:15, and we'll try to keep it pretty limited, focused on the capital plan, capital recommendations for next year. Is there any public comment at this time? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.